These cars have a ton of You text your buddy with a Focus ST, hey dude, what should I know about these cars? Because I'm gonna go look at one right now. Anything I should be aware of?
Hops off the couch or Xbox, middle of a match.
Check the oil, make sure it's clean. Doesn't make any weird sound. You should be good, dude. Yeah, send it.
That is not what we want to do. I'm here to give you the answer that you want so you have confidence when you go and look at this vehicle. That is what the CarmerSpeed brand is all about. So if you like building confidence in the garage, learning everything you want to know about specific sports car models before you buy them, so after you get them in the garage, DIY modifying themselves, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button if you like that idea. But today we're going to talk about the Focus ST, which I have one fully built. I just got done with right behind me. And I'm going to show you your way around so you know where the turbo is, where you know where the engine cover, how to take it off, your hood lap. Anything you need to look out for, we're going to get to in a sec, but I want to go over the boring stuff, and I wrote down a whole list of notes, and I'm going over everything that you need to know before you go and buy one of these cars so that you can know your way around as if you've owned one before and know exactly what you're getting. There's 3 models of these cars: ST1, ST2, and ST3. Now I found a forum that explains it really well. FocusST.org, shout out to Reggie66. He said the best way to look at it: ST1, base model, no touchscreen, base model sound system, basic seats, and halogen lights. ST2, Ford touchscreen, Sony sound system with 10-inch sub, and upgraded partial leather Recaros. ST3 is everything the ST2 has, but fully leather seats and heated Recaros and steering wheel, projector headlights. When you look inside the wheels of the car, if you can see holes in the brake rotors, they're probably drilled and slotted. That's one way to notice a modification. If they're just flat, then they are stock. This car is wrapped, so I can't show you up close. I'll show you a picture on the screen, but you can get up to it, go to the paint, throw your phone flashlight on it, and kind of look at it from a 45-degree angle and look for dramatic swirls to see what kind of condition the paint is in. If it needs a paint correction, that's something you could talk them down on, etc. If it's been, not waxed, all that. There's a whole lot of things that cause that, but that's something that especially if it's a dark car like this that I had, the paint was in pretty bad condition. We did a paint correction and got it nice, so it is fixable, but especially if it's black or whatever, you can totally see that dramatically, like, wow, this paint actually does look bad, so it's something to pay attention to. These cars have a ton of torque on the front wheels because it's front wheel drive, so your tire wear is going to be a direct, extreme indication of if it is in proper alignment and how they've been driving it. So if you look under the front and you want to look on the inside of the tire, and if the tread on the inside is a lot lower than the outside, that means they've got a little bit of camber too much, or they just wanted that look and they pretty much drove it real hard and didn't rotate it enough. These should usually have less tire on the inside just out of nature of owning one of these cars. That will happen to you, but if you have proper alignment and you rotate them often like I have on this car, I actually have had really good luck with keeping the tire wear very even. My Mazda Speed 3, it was a nightmare. It was like I would go through so many tires, just the inside of them. The outside looked great, inside shredded. That's just part of the front wheel drive game, but that's something to look out for. Open the driver door. Inside here, it's a little different. There's a yellow guy. You're gonna push to the driver's side of the car and lift up, and that's how you get it up. Looking around under the engine, we have our reservoir for our radiator. You want to see the max line right here. See if that is full. If not, it could be a little low. That's kind of normal. Just fill it up a little bit. Now this engine cover is very simple to take off. But real quick, this is an intake tube that goes down. This is the intake filter. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this off because I have it loosened. And inside here, I have a different air filter. This is a K&N. We'll get to that in a sec. This is your battery under here. You can pull this up and take it off like such. Fuse box to the right of the battery and the air filter. If you follow this intake tube back, it will take you to the back side of the motor. That is where the little baby turbo is. I'm not going to show you guys what that turbo looks like up close because it is so tucked back there. But let's go ahead and pull off this engine cover. You're just going to pull up on the back corner like that. Pull up over here. It just has little rubber grommets that pop onto these metal balls that mount it on. Super easy. Oil fill, dipstick. We've got our 4 spark plugs for all 4 cylinders right there. We've got our intake manifold. And then over here is our belt system. And then here right under the reservoir is our passenger motor mount, which you can see if it's leaking something, that means it's kind of just worn out. It probably needs to be replaced with something aftermarket or an OEM one, depending on what kind of feel you're going for. When you're looking at the front of the motor, this silver piece right here is a plate. That is a Symposer delete. That is usually one of the first modifications people do, and I didn't know about that when I bought this car. I thought it was completely 100% stock. The only thing it had was a Symposer delete right here, and then who knows how much it was modified and put back to stock. So that's one key telltale. If the Symposer is still there, it probably is truly 100% stock. This thing might have been modified, it might not have. I'm not sure. I never had a single problem with it, so I kind of believe that it wasn't, but who knows? I wish I would have known that Symposer was there. So you can pull the cover off and check for that to see, because that is a first telltale if it's been modified. Set it on. You'll see it kind of fall into place. To get a proper oil reading, to check the oil, you need to have the car warm. So maybe go for a test drive, let it warm up, and then let the car sit for a couple minutes, and then check the oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this paper towel, clean this off. The car is warm. Just got done driving it. If it's all the way up the grippy part of the dipstick, that means it's full. Now this oil has about 2,000 miles on it. I'm getting ready to change it at 3,000, so it is a dark color. If it's gold, that means it was just changed, or it's some really, really high quality oil of some sort. But I just run the Ford Performance or the Motul 5W30, whatever I have available. I would definitely recommend starting it, listening to it idle with the hood open. Now these cars have an abnormally loud, it has something to do with the valves, so it has kind of like a flat line, like not ticking noise, but almost like a could be timing chain noise. That's super normal for these 2-liter EcoBoost engines, so don't be alarmed like I was. I mentioned it in one of the beginning videos of this series, so if you want to go check that out, I talk about it there as well. If you hear all the sounds you're hearing right now, running perfect. If you look right on this side, you can see the belt spinning. Make sure there's nothing wobbling if you're being super crazy. If it sounds fine, it's usually good. You don't really have problems with that sort of thing. When it comes to the air filter, if you have tools accessible, or you can look from the side. From the side, you can see the little K&N logo right here in person. Take these 4 8mm bolts off, and that will come right off. Now, if you see one that's colored like this is a K&N high performance air filter, and then I'll show you what the stock one looks like. If you see one under here that looks like this, that's kind of paper, that is a stock one. Plenty good, pretty restrictive. And then the only other one you will normally see is a green filter. It's literally called on mine a green filter, and it has a little hole right here on the side. People get a little more turbo flutter and things like that. It's not a bad thing. Just look to make sure that it's not crazy black or dirty. I clean mine probably every oil change, every other oil change. It doesn't really matter. I just check it every now and then, make sure it's not too dirty. And if I've been driving in some really bad weather, I'll make sure to clean it after. But for the most part, we live in Arizona. It's super clean. Just got to worry about dust and clean it every now and then. This is what the ST1 package looks like. You can see the cloth seats like so. And this short shifter I have on here has a lot more of this mushed up in here. You might be able to tell if it does have one, but mainly these don't. People don't normally do that. If you see this guy right here, that is a Cobb access port, something you should learn about. Go check out the playlist on my channel for this car, learn all about it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you gotta know a few things about it being tuned. When you're looking at the car, don't forget to look at the body lines, follow them, look for door dings, anything minor you can usually get fixed. I have a video on this channel in the playlist showing how I got a bunch of door dings repaired, and it actually made the car look so much better. I bought it with a bunch of door dings knowing I didn't know how much they were gonna be, how fixable they were gonna be, and I was shook when I went to R&R dent repair in Chandler. So make sure you find a dent repair place in your area. It's called Paintless Dent Removal. I have a whole video on it with this car. Major key. I would actually kind of stoked to use door dings as a way to talk people down now that I know what ones can be removed and cannot after learning from my experience. So go check out that video. You might be able to think, it's not that bad. Cam had one about that size. You got it removed by a professional. Use it to your advantage. Making your way around the rest of the car, it's just a Ford Focus, the rear hatch, everything's pretty plain and simple in there. Just make sure it's clean. Look under the car for rust, obvious things like that. Take that to your own discretion. If you're on the East Coast, you're probably not gonna get away from it. If you're on the West Coast, check it to make sure it's not an East Coast car that was brought over here to try and sell for more. I've had that experience where there was way more rust, and you don't wanna have that. So just get on your back, get on the ground, look under the car, look for rust, and you will be fine. If you've driven a lot of stick shift cars and you get in one of these to go to test drive one, you're like, wow, this clutch is so light. I wonder if it's tossed. It's probably not. It's a very, very, very light clutch on these things. And as long as it bites when you let it out, pretty fast, and it will screech the tires, I'd say that's a good condition clutch. If it has a lot of play where, it has like firm pressure the whole way, that's a good clutch, right? But if it has like where you press it like 4, 5, 6 inches of free play and then press on it, it might be time for a new one. It could be damaged. So, just see how much play. A little bit of play is normal in a clutch pedal. So just pay attention to that. But these cars have super light clutches, so it's just kind of normal for it to feel a little bit, not mushy, but just lightweight and unexpectedly lightweight if you're used to cars. If you're not used to manual cars, it's just gonna feel like a clutch, and that's fine. Ask them simple questions like, what kind of oil did you run? What kind of oil filter did you run? And when was the last time you changed the transmission fluid? Have you ever? Have you changed the spark plugs? See how they react. At about 50,000 miles, most people, 30 to 50,000, most people change their transmission fluid and their spark plugs. If the car is tuned, they've probably put step colder spark plugs, which I have that in the playlist on this car as well on the channel. So make sure you check that out. As far as I want to address cars being tuned. There's a couple notable people in like Stratified. I go with Edge Autosport. A couple tuned by Nissan, I think, does Focus STs. I don't know if he just does Mazda Speed 3s. So just ask him about it. Hey, why do you have a tune? What parts do you have on? Why? How's it running? The thing you need to pay attention to is if he does have an access port on it, you should be running the golden numbers for idle. Your air to fuel ratio, AFR, is 14.7. Wide open throttle should be right around 11, 11.7, 11.3, whatever. If you're on ethanol E30, it might go down to 10.8, 9, around there, I believe, if I remember correctly. Make sure that, car is up to temperature before you drive it hard. The oil should be at least around 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit before you get on the car real hard, and that's almost to fully operating temperature. Your oil pressure gauge is a direct correlation to if it's too cold or not. So when you take off and you watch the oil pressure gauge and your car isn't warm enough, the oil's not up to temp yet, you're going to be pegged out at like 70 psi on your oil pressure. Now just lay off the gas, take it real slow until that oil gets up to temperature, and you're gonna see that oil pressure kind of go back to the middle. And then when you get on the gas, it's gonna move to the right a little bit, probably, not maybe like a quarter in the middle, but like when you get on the gas, when it's cold, it's gonna peg that oil pressure because the oil's still thick, it's not warmed up yet. And when it's thick, it's like trying to suck a milkshake through a straw. But if it's like, then when your oil temperature is at proper running temperature, it's like sucking it, water through a straw, and that's better for your engine. When the oil is warmer, you're getting oil everywhere faster. That way you don't have problems and wear out your engine. So, pay attention. If the owner, if the car's cold, look at the thermostat temp, look at the oil pressure. If he takes out of the driveway and that oil temperature is at 70, if that oil pressure is at 70 or close to it, and the car's not warm yet, and for sure, you make sure, because you don't want to make yourself look stupid and make an assumption. And he pins it and takes off out of there to show you how fast it is, but that oil pressure is pegged out on 70. That's probably someone who didn't take care of the car. That's something I would never do. I'm going to show the people who buy this car, like, hey, this is what I do. I make sure this car takes forever to warm up. I'll let it warm up in my driveway for at least 5-10 minutes. Take it on the freeway. I'm driving it like a grandma for like 10-15 minutes. Then the oil temperature's finally up. Then I can go fast and have a good time. Hope this gives you a better understanding of the Focus ST platform walking around, knowing your way around, everything you need to know before buying this car. If you like what you see, if you like building confidence in the garage, hit that subscribe button, catch the playlist on the screen, and you will learn so much about this car by checking out all those videos on that playlist.